I never imagined my life could turn on a single stubborn moment under the rain, but that's exactly where it began. It was one of those vicious autumn nights when the city seems to punish anyone foolish enough to be outside. I'd put on the crimson dress I'd bought on impulse months earlier and never dared to wear. Low neckline, thin straps, the kind of red that makes people look twice. After weeks of feeling invisible, bad breakup, worst job, nights that tasted like metal, I needed to feel something again. My friend Katia had texted me at the last possible second. Black door, side alley, say nothing. Just show the card. The card had one word handwritten in silver ink. Trust. I reached the service entrance, soaked already. The bouncer filled the doorway, like she'd been carved from the night itself. Black uniform shirt, sleeves rolled once, security stark white on the arm. Ponytail, so tight it pulled the skin at her temples. Eyes the color of wet slate after storm. I held up the card like a passport. She barely glanced at it. Not on the list. Katia is inside, she said. No list, no entry. Voice flat, final, almost bored. I tried everything, pleading, negotiating, flirting, tears. Nothing. She looked through me as if I were made of the same rain that was now plastering my hair to my cheeks. So I stayed. I took shelter under the narrow metal awning and refused to move. Guests swept past in furs and designer umbrellas, laughing at the crazy girl in the red dress who wouldn't leave. Each time the door opened, bass and warm gold light spilled out, then slammed shut. Each time she was there, arms folded, watching me.
At first her face said, "Get lost."
Then it shifted to curiosity. Then to something I couldn't read, something that made my chest hurt in a new way. Hours bled away. My dress became a second, freezing skin. Makeup surrendered. Teeth chattered so hard I tasted blood from biting my lip. Still I stayed. I told myself it was pride. Truth was deeper. If I walked away, I'd be admitting the night had won, and I was tired of letting nights win. Eventually, the music stopped. The last VIP stumbled out, helped by two valets. The streetlights flickered. The city went quiet except for the rain. She came out last. She paused under the awning, water dripping from the ends of her ponytail. We looked at each other for a long, wordless moment. "You're completely insane," she said, softer now, almost wondering. "Maybe," I answered through chattering teeth. Without ceremony, she peeled off her black security jacket and dropped it over my shoulders. It was heavy, warm from her body, smelled of coffee, faint cigarette smoke someone else had blown near her, and something like cedar and skin. I pulled it close and felt human for the first time in months. "I'm Lyra," she said. "Sonia." She walked me 3 freezing blocks to the only cab still brave enough to prowl that hour. Just before I slid into the back seat, she hesitated, then pressed something small into my palm. My crimson lipstick that must have rolled out while I was begging. "You dropped this." Her fingers lingered against mine half a second too long, calloused and careful. I thought that was the end of our story. It was only the prologue. Next morning, 9:17 a.m., unknown number. "You left something in the pocket of my jacket? Coffee to return it?" I grinned so wide my roommate asked if I'd won the lottery. We met at a tiny cafe that smelled of burnt sugar and old books. She was out of uniform, gray sweater too big for her, sleeves pushed up, hands wrapped around a black coffee like it was anchoring her to the planet. She slid the lipstick across the table, like contraband. "I've worked that door 5 years," she said after the first awkward silence. Turned away celebrities, ministers, people who offered 5-figure bribes. Nobody ever just stood there. In the rain. For hours. "I didn't have anywhere else to be," I said. She studied me for a long time. "I think I understood that the second you refused to leave." We talked until the owner started stacking chairs around us. She told me her mother still forwarded photos of good boys from church. She told me she kept her real life in a box, so small it hurt to breathe sometimes. She told me she was exhausted from guarding doors nobody ever thanked her for guarding. I told her I knew exactly what exhaustion tasted like. We met again the next day. And the next. Always careful, different cafes, different neighborhoods. She was terrified of being seen, of losing the job that paid little, but at least let her stay invisible. I learned the small, sacred things. She took her coffee black with exactly 1 sugar, tapped her left thumb against her thigh when nervous, laughed with her whole body, but only when she forgot to be afraid. She learned I hummed when I was happy, that I couldn't fall asleep without a window cracked open even in winter, that red was the only color I ever wanted to wear when I needed courage. Weeks slid by in stolen hours and careful glances. Then came the night the dam finally broke. Another storm, because of course there was. I waited outside the staff exit holding the most ridiculous clear umbrella covered in cherries. When she stepped out, soaked in seconds, her face was pale and fierce. "I just quit," she said before I could speak. Walked in, handed over the radio, told them I was done pretending, on the door, off the door, everywhere. Her voice cracked on the last word. Rain streamed down her cheeks. I couldn't tell what was water and what was not. I let the cherry umbrella fall and stepped into the downpour with her. She kissed me right there on the sidewalk, city buses hissing past, neon bleeding into every puddle. It was messy, desperate, perfect. Her hands cupped my face like she was checking I was real, mine fisted in her wet shirt like I was anchoring her to the earth. I tasted rain, salt, 5 years of silence finally shattering. When we broke apart, foreheads still touching, breaths mingling, she whispered, "I fell in love the moment you refused to leave that night." My heart just needed time to catch up with my eyes. We moved carefully after that, like people learning to walk again. She found work at a small queer bar in the old brick district. The owner took one look at her shoulders and asked only, "Can you break up a fight without breaking a heart?" and hired her on the spot. I helped her pack the few belongings from her old studio. 3 black shirts, 1 framed photo of her as a serious child, a battered paperback of Akhmatova she read when nights got too loud. We found an apartment 2 floors above the river, windows that caught sunrise like fire. We argued over whose turn it was to buy milk, left each other silly notes on the fridge, learned the exact pressure of fingers on a shoulder that meant I'm home, I'm yours, I'm safe. Some evenings she still wears that black shirt, just for me. I trace the place where security used to be stitched, kiss the hollow of her throat until she laughs and pulls me down onto the couch. "Still mad I didn't let you in?" she teases, voice low. "Furious," I answer, climbing into her lap. "Spend the rest of your life making it up to me."
She does.
Every single day. The girl in the red dress and the guard who finally opened the door. We kept the rain, we kept the night, we kept the stubborn, trembling trust that started it all. And we kept each other.